We're going to call it. Let's go. Start us off. Hotep, brothers and sisters, Hotep, Hotep. It's so good to see all of you. You're looking good and looking strong and beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. We say, Heri za Kwanzaa. Heri za Kwanzaa in Kiswahili means happy Kwanzaa. And even though this is pre-Kwanzaa, we're going to introduce you now to the one and only Jabali Ade Church. So we want to give thanks to them for everything that they have done and who they are. This time, we are very happy to introduce you to today.
All right, happy Kwanzaa, everybody. Start it off early, right? Don't wait. You just say happy Kwanzaa. You can teach them after that. It's a privilege and an honor to be before you today. I'm humbled and appreciative of the opportunity just to share in this kind of and culturally grounding activity, right? Doc always talks about agency. And it's beautiful to transition beyond the theoretical into the practical application, right? We write, we give speeches, we have dialogue and debate, but these are the moments where we actually, solidify the meaning and essence of culture through our practices. So with that being said, one of our practices is to first honor the ancestors. I was going to ask who's this person in the room to get permission to speak, but the last time I asked that, looked like, don't ask me that again. And there was so many people looking at me, and I said, well, you're in good company, you're not alone. You just look to your left and your right. But at this time, I call to the podium, Mr. Azair. Asari. I'm sorry, Asari. All right, clap it up, show some love.
We pour libation to invoke our ancestors, to ask for blessings, to ask for guidance, and also to ask for great future. And so today we are going to call on pour libation. And in the Akan culture, when you pour libation, you first invoke the Almighty God. So before the white man came to Africa, we knew God. And so we invoke God first, and then we also invoke the earth, the Asaya. And then we call upon all the deities, the divinities, the rivers, the trees. Because in African culture, we believe in an extension. It's not only humans, but we also connect with other things. So we connect with the wind, we connect with the trees, we connect with the animals, the animate and inanimate. And then after that, you tell the ancestors what you want them to do for you. And that is the message. So first is the invocation and then the message. And then the last part is where you have to thank them for whatever that they have done for us. And then you also put a curse on anyone who would like to work against the black people, the Africans, both on the continent and then on the diaspora. And so that is what I'm going to do. Kwame Nsa. Asase ya Nsa o. Ena na samanfo Nsa. Ebra do say ye ha say ye fremo a nye bone abosumuduasa a ye ho ahia wo krom ha abosumuduasa a ewo abibrim asase so abosumuduasa a ewo ye domba ha say de onko Haiti de onko Jamaica de onko Brazil de onko baby biara ye mamunsa ya na nanom a kwasi broni ya ne ho ani fa yan free asase so ade emba ha sese emedi nkoa enum sam konkoden ya fra mo na ye mamunsa ne ayesra mo enyina ne se mo hwa yens mo mo yan ho ban mo ni ye ni kankro abibifo yan kwaso ensa obi biara one de obeya ne hu dwa broni se won pese ya bibiman ye ese won pese ye ye wo ha se ye bekoso no ye se obi ens enkwa ema ne tanfo ene ye so de tian a munya ombasa ensa So basically what I said is I invoked the spirit of God, the Almighty God, and then the spirit of Asasiya. Asasiya is the goddess of the earth. And then I invoked the rivers, both in Africa and the diaspora, wherever we are, I invoked them, and then I invoked our ancestors.
Yes, sir.
So that were uprooted from Africa to come here, and then those on the continent. And I also asked for blessings for all black people. I asked for unity for all black people. And then I cursed anybody who would not want to see us grow, who would not want to see us develop, who wants to use us, continue to use us as slaves. There is an adage in the Akan language which says, nobody goes to bless the enemy. You rather curse the enemy. So I curse the enemy if they try to do anything back to us. Thank you.
And as we say in Akan, me die, say. That's right. This is wonderful. It's wonderful, and we appreciate him so for speaking to us in the language of our ancestors. You know, sometimes we haven't heard African languages, and we sort of get confused, you know. Say, well, wow, this is an African language. Yeah, we speak more languages in Africa than in any other part of the world. Over 3,000 languages are spoken on the continent of Africa. And in fact, when they brought us here, we basically lost a large part of our culture. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the meaning of Kwanzaa, and then we're going to eventually, we will have Dr. Nadav, who will give us a presentation after my presentation. She is, of course, an eminent scholar, particularly in terms of African education and African womanism. She is read and studied in Africa, in Brazil, in Europe, and certainly throughout America, and has influenced so many people. Academy with her books, first African Mothers, one of her early books, and her book on Afrocentric education, the Afrocentric School, and her book, Being Human Being, Transforming the Race Discourse. So and then many others, of course, that she's read, Take On to Job and others. So we're looking forward to her giving that presentation. I want to talk a little bit just about the meaning of, as I said, we will have Dr. Alonge Clarkson, who is going to talk to us and read to us a little bit more about Kwanzaa. But I was in Los Angeles, California in 1965. I went to Los Angeles, California to graduate school from Oklahoma. And when I went to, got there, the interesting thing that happened almost just as I got to Los Angeles was what was called the Watts Revolt. Now, most of you are too young to know anything about the Watts Revolt. So, but I'm getting up there in age. And I remember the Watts Rebellion, and the of life people. Some of them may remember this, and that's right. And we were just so happy to have their support. But one of the things that happened in 1965 was that a black man was arrested driving his car. He was arrested and was mistreated by the police. And then the black people came out of their houses and they basically had a rebellion, one of the first major rebellions. It lasted for days. Where I was living on 53rd Street in South Central Los Angeles, the police came in the armored vehicles. The National Guard came out. It was a really terrible time. It was out of that rebellion, and we should never forget this, out of that rebellion that a young man who only about a year older than I was at the time, I think I may have been 24, 25, this young man, Maulana Karenga, looked at what was happening, and he said, the fundamental way to deal with this situation that we're fighting against in this society is to have an appreciation of our African culture. Yes, who are we? Where do we come from? And it's 360 days approximately. So they say, then this is the new year. The Nile overflows its bank